En ja, daar gaan ze, dames en heren, na een moment van grote concentratie bij de rijders. Is het Ángel die daar weliswaar als eerste op de machine.
The history of Kreidler is the story of how a German metalworks factory evolved into a successful motorcycle manufacturer in the international racing scene. The company successfully transitioned from producing metal goods to becoming a major player on the world's race circuits. Kreidler's journey began in 1903, when Anton Kreidler founded Kreidler's Metal- und Drahtwerke, a company focused on producing metal and wire products. This industrial foundation was carried on by his son, Alfred Kreidler. After gaining experience in the automotive industry and studying at the Technical University of Stuttgart, Alfred brought a new vision to the company. Before Kreidler produced its own motorcycles, Alfred had already designed and sold motorcycles under the Pan brand. This 350cc motorcycle demonstrated his expertise in the automotive field. In 1949, seeing a need for affordable personal transportation in post-war Germany, Alfred decided to start developing motorcycles under the Kreidler name. In 1951, Kreidler launched its first vehicle, the Model K50. It was powered by a 49.9 cubic centimeter two-stroke engine that produced 2.2 horsepower and was equipped with a two-speed transmission. This vehicle became popular in the 50cc class, known in Germany as the Schnapsglas-Klasse, shot glass class. Its main advantage was that motorcycles in this class were tax-exempt, did not require a license plate, and could be ridden by 16-year-olds with a Class 4 driver's license. The K50 became a symbol of freedom for the youth of that era. If the K50 was the pioneering model, the Kreidler Florett K54, introduced in 1957, was the model that solidified Kreidler's reputation. The Florett's success was based on several technical advantages that set it apart from its competitors. Its main features included a horizontally mounted, fan-cooled single-cylinder two-stroke engine. This design provided a low center of gravity for better handling and efficient cooling. The use of a hard chrome-plated light alloy cylinder ensured good durability, a testament to Kreidler's commitment to quality. Additionally, a robust claw-shift transmission made the Florett very reliable and a favorite among mechanics and tuners. The above-standard engineering quality of their street models, such as the chrome-plated cylinder and strong gearbox, created an excellent platform for further development. This is what enabled their success in the racing world, as their race bikes could be developed from an already excellent production base. The Florett lineup continued to evolve, from the initial 3-horsepower model to its peak, the Florett RS, in 1967. The RS model no longer used fan cooling, had a 5-speed transmission, and produced 5.3 horsepower, making it one of the fastest in its class. The performance competition on public roads was eventually curbed by a 1970 agreement between Kreidler, Hercules, and Zundap to limit their 50cc engines to 6.25 PS and 5-speed transmissions. After achieving commercial success, Kreidler decided to enter the international motorcycle racing scene. This move was aimed at proving their engineering superiority on a global level. This chapter marks Kreidler's transition from a moped manufacturer to a contender in the World Championship, where they faced stiff competition from Japanese manufacturers and developed innovative technical solutions. Kreidler officially entered the international racing world in 1961, when the FYM introduced a new racing series called the Coupe d'Europe for the 50cc class. To lead its team, Kreidler recruited Hans-Georg Anscheit, a car mechanic who responded to an ad seeking a rider. Anscheit immediately proved his talent by winning the European Championship title in 1961, an achievement that put Kreidler on the world racing map. The motorcycle used, the Florett, or Racing Florett, was developed from the standard Florett sold on the market. It was modified with a lighter frame, a special cylinder head, dual carburetors, and improved suspension and brakes, producing about 9 horsepower. Their main rival in this series was the Thomas team from Yugoslavia, which made Kreidler's victory the result of fierce competition. The situation changed in 1962 when the 50cc class was elevated to world championship status. This change attracted major Japanese manufacturers, namely Honda and Suzuki, who came with different resources and engineering approaches. The difference in technical approach became the core of the competition. Kreidler remained true to its principle that race bikes should be developed from their standard street engine base. This was a source of pride, but also a technical limitation. Honda and Suzuki were not bound by production models. Honda developed a DOHC 4-stroke engine, while Suzuki focused on a rotary valve 2-stroke engine with a very high RPM. Their bikes were prototypes built specifically for racing. As a result, Kreidler faced tough competition. Although Ángel was a talented rider, he had to settle for being the world championship runner-up in 1962 and 1963, losing to Suzuki. This period showed that Kreidler was a strong contender, but was often outmatched in terms of technology and resources by the Japanese manufacturers. Because their engines were not as powerful as the Japanese-made ones, Kreidler's engineers looked for other ways to compete. They had to ensure that the available power was used to its maximum potential. The solution was one of the most well-known innovations in Grand Prix racing history, the multi-speed gearbox. The need for this gearbox arose because the 50cc 2-stroke engine had a very narrow optimal power band. To stay competitive, the Kreidler engine had to constantly run within the small RPM range. To achieve this, Kreidler developed a 12-speed transmission system. This system consisted of a standard 4-speed foot-operated gearbox combined with a 3-speed auxiliary gearbox, controlled by a twist grip on the left handlebar. This combination gave the rider 12 very close gear ratios, allowing them to keep the engine in its optimal power range. Riding a motorcycle with this system was very complex, but riders like Ángel were able to master it and turn it into an advantage on the track. This innovation showed how Kreidler overcame its technical limitations with a clever mechanical solution. While the Japanese manufacturers focused on the power source by designing new engines, Kreidler focused on the transmission of the power they had. After years of being a contender, Kreidler's fate in the racing world changed. A fundamental regulation change and the emergence of a well-managed race team transformed Kreidler from a team that was often the runner-up to a highly dominant team. The turning point for Kreidler came from a rule change. In 1969, the FYM announced new rules effective from 1970. To curb development costs and allow more non-factory teams to participate, the FIM limited the 50cc class to single-cylinder engines with a maximum of a 6-speed transmission. This decision directly made the high-tech multi-cylinder engines from Honda and Suzuki obsolete. As a result, these Japanese manufacturers withdrew from the 50cc class. This created a great opportunity for Kreidler, as their racing philosophy had always centered on developing single-cylinder engines. The new rules effectively gave Kreidler a significant advantage. When the Kreidler factory in Germany officially reduced its direct involvement in racing, their racing efforts were continued by their Dutch importer, Henk van Veen. This was the beginning of the Van Veen Kreidler team, which would become one of the most successful private teams in Grand Prix history. Van Veen invested heavily in development, creating a new generation of Kreidler race bikes that were lighter, more powerful, and more reliable. The Van Veen Kreidler motorcycles were the pinnacle of engineering within the new rule limitations. They were equipped with water-cooled cylinders, better aerodynamics, magnesium wheels, disc brakes, and an engine capable of producing over 17 to 19 horsepower at speeds above 15,000 RPM, all within the single-cylinder, 6-speed rule. These bikes were so competitive that they were also sold to other private riders, further extending Kreidler's dominance on the track. The team's main rider was Jan de Vries from the Netherlands. In 1971, he won the World Championship title, which was the first for Kreidler after years of trying. His victory sparked a fierce rivalry with Spanish rider Ángel Nieto, who raced for Derby. The 1972 season saw a very tight battle. At the end of the season, De Vries and Nieto had the same number of points. The championship title had to be decided by the cumulative race time difference over the season, with Nieto being declared the champion by a margin of just 21.3 seconds. Despite the narrow defeat, De Vries returned to win his second world title in 1973, cementing his position as one of Kreidler's best riders. In the 1970s and early 1980s, Kreidler dominated the 50cc class. Thanks to the rule changes and the expertise of the Veen team, Kreidler engines became the top choice for elite riders. This era was marked by a series of world championship titles won by various riders using Kreidler motorcycles. After Jan de Vries retired at the end of 1973, he transitioned to a role as a mechanic and tuner within the team. His position as the lead rider was taken over by fellow Dutch rider Henk van Kessel. With technical support from de Vries, Van Kessel won the 50cc World Championship in 1974. In the 1975 season, an interesting event occurred. Ángel Nieto, who was previously the main rival, joined the Kreidler team after his Derby team withdrew from the championship. With a Van Veen Kreidler motorcycle and Jan de Vries as his chief mechanic, Nieto dominated the season. He won 6 of the 8 Grand Prix races and captured the World Championship title with Kreidler. The competitiveness of the Kreidler motorcycle continued. Italian rider Eugenio Lazzarini, after being the runner-up in 1977 and 1978, finally won the 50cc World Championship twice in a row for Kreidler in 1979 and 1980. The final chapter of Kreidler's success was written by Swiss rider Stefan Dörflinger. He won the World Championship in 1982. The same year, the Kreidler factory in Germany went bankrupt. His victory continued into 1983, which was the last year the 50cc class was contested as a world championship. This victory meant that a Kreidler motorcycle was present in the first and last races in the history of the 50cc World Championship. In 1984, the FIM officially replaced the 50cc class with the 80cc class, which also marked the end of the 50cc racing era. This class had been dominated by Kreidler, unlike any other manufacturer, leaving a legacy of 8 world championship titles and various technical innovations.